In Ireland, would it not be better if we spent money on tackling the leaks rather than on the metering system, which I think estimated to cost $1 billion?
Well, we're continuing to spend an enormous amount of money on water rehabilitation networks, but it's going to take a 10-year period on the basis of our present access to finance. What we're trying to do under the new entity, Irish Water, is to attract private investment along with the public capital programme, not just to deal with the leaks, but to ensure that we have adequate water supplies of volume and quality for inward investment in the future.
But the Scottish system seems to work without metering, which is a very costly thing to put in, especially with multiple units and stuff like that. Would it not be better to save the money on metering and put it towards the works you mentioned?
We need to do both metering in our view and to do water rehabilitation of our pipe network. And the government has made a decision that we're going to introduce meters. People are going to be paying by use, and we're going to have further capital investment. In fact, I'm trying to double the water investment programme in order to make sure that we have sufficient quantities and sufficient quality of water in the years ahead.
Minister, just on water metering, can you tell us who will be installing the meters? When are you going to be announcing the details?
Three regional contracts will be announced in the middle of July.
When you say attract private investment, are you talking about privatisation of the utility or borrowing?
No, and we set out in the legislation that this is a public utility. The pipe network will remain in public ownership. We've learned from the ERCOM experience about decisions that were responsibly made by the previous government.
Minister, can I ask about
the money will come from the private sector as well as the public sector.
As
but you must have a stream of investment in order to ensure that you are able to repay the money that will come from the private sector.
Minister, can I ask about the Anglo-Irish tapes? The Taoiseach this morning and the Minister of Finance said that it was news to them that these tapes existed. I assume there was nobody in Cabinet at the moment who knew about the existence of these tapes. And secondly, what's your reaction to what you've heard so far? And what way do you think a banking inquiry should be carried out? Your party chairman, Charlie Flanagan, said that it should be taken away from the Oireachtas.
I think this is certainly, these revelations on the tapes certainly would make any ordinary human being in this country their blood boil over what has gone on. People have made an enormous amount of sacrifice in this country because of the activities of the financial institutions and the light touch regulation that was introduced by Fianna Fáil over a number of years in government. So we've seen the results of that, and I noticed that a number of Fianna Fáil spokespersons are trying to wash their hands of their involvement in government in 2008. The central bank and the regulator were separated from each other during their term of office. We have a culture of light touch regulation, and now we see the consequences with the Anglo tapes. It's certainly outrageous the fact that such a cavalier and arrogant attitude take place.
Well, the inquiry, do you think it should be taken by an Oireachtas committee or by a commission of investigation or another avenue?
That's a matter for the government in due course, but the government are taking this matter very seriously, and they will be making a decision on the inquiry in the very near future.
Okay, folks, thanks for going to this last one. We didn't know the tapes existed. I mean, they've been around for years. The one come out now, the government says it hasn't. That no one knows they exist.
Well, if you have that information in regard to your Khan from the independent investigation from the state, certainly it's news to me. But the government is at arm's length from all of these independent processes, and we didn't.
Did your blood boil when you heard the tape?
Absolutely, and I watched a programme last night where some of the tapes were certainly revealed, and the recordings were made public, and certainly it was very distressing.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Minister.
Thanks, Minister.